アルケイディア軍のダルマスカ侵攻を妨げるものは何もありません。奴らが国境に達するのは時間の問題です。
ガレテアの壁をそなた。ありがたき幸せ。
With the threat of all-out war on the horizon, the Arcadian Empire invades and subjugates its neighboring kingdoms one by one. Dalmasca, the stage on which this tale is set, is one such kingdom.
さあ坊主、観念してそいつを俺に渡すんだ。お行儀よくしてないとしたかん。
山ナスタ市民諸君、帝国が憎いか、この私を憎んでいるか。私は逃げることなく憎しみを受け止め背負い、そしてダルマスカを守ろう。まだだ、まだ魔法障壁がある。これは私の償いである。ラスラ様。
The story of an age when magic was commonplace and airships plied the skies, crowding out the heavens. Final Fantasy XII.
I can use this. Kyle, help me out. Come on, shit. Your fist is the only thing you can really rely on in this bullshit world. These words from my brother Cody were drilled into my head. My name is Kyle Travers. I'm an underground pit fighter in the back alleys and basement fight clubs of Metro City. That's not a bad life. Brutality has its rewards.
Nothing, Travers.
God damn it, Kyle! Quit fucking around with this guy!
I thought fighting for money was all I'd ever do. That was until Cody disappeared.
I don't know what kind of shit he was into. Maybe it's that fucked up new drug making everybody crazy. I'm fighting for my brother's life now, and no one stops me until I find him.
I fight for the unconventional. My right is unconditional. I can only be as real as I can. What doesn't kill us only makes us stronger. We are the new Diabolic. We are the men of your calling. If I have to give my life, you can have it. We are the boss of the maggots.
This is my destiny.
concepts of evil and justice are irrelevant. This is a mission. This Rowdy City out of its misery. Frame City Killer.
Sergeant Barron, hold up. In a split second, your world can go from calm to utter chaos.
Incoming! Contact front!
Climb back to 6, distract the 2. Taking rounds at objective Charlie.
Target!
Easy
Moving!
at round 2.
Government! RPG!
Welcome to the battlefield of the 21st century. Full Spectrum Warrior, 10 hammers. Take command.
Full Auto is the most destructive racing game ever. Full Auto is the hybridization between racing and combat. It's a racing combat game, and it's something that you probably haven't seen before. It's not a kart racer, it's not a vehicular combat game, it's not a straight up action racing game. It's kind of a hybridization of all those elements together, kind of brought together in the mix through universal destruction. You can interact and basically destroy anything in the environment, so it makes for dynamic racetracks, it makes for really amazing combat, and it makes for high-speed thrills, crashing through buildings, jumping over buildings, you name it. You probably saw the crash demos at last year's E3 and GDC that Pseudo Interactive did for the XII initiative on Microsoft's side. Those tech demos basically paved the way for what Full Auto is today. Massive destruction on vehicles. We just took that type of technology and applied it to everything in the game environment. So that's really where Full Auto got its start. Well, it's a racing game first, right? We wanted something very familiar to gamers, something that on Next Generation you can really just go in and know what you're going to get. Of course, we're going to exceed expectations in a number of ways by delivering more than just racing. But when we say racing combat, at its core, you need to place first in these racetracks. So the primary mode involves circuits, point-to-points, straightaways, things like that. And it's all about, basically fighting your way and surviving the experience to come in first place. All the while taking out as many enemies as you can, causing as much destruction, doing as many stunts, etc. You really want to make highlights of your experience, and those are pulled out of the game, and you get to see those, promote them online, etc. They become a part of your identity within the world of Full Auto. In addition to the racing mode, we have an arena mode, which focuses strictly on combat and environmental destruction. That's huge. It's 4-player split screen. It's 8-player online. We're full, live enabled. Here we go. We're going to bring something that's not just racing, but with that shooting combat element that's going to get people playing, get people really talking smack, and coming back for more. Xbox 360. Isn't it nice that we can finally say that? Xbox 360. Obviously, better graphics. That's the easy thing. Sure, everybody's going to improve their graphics. The GPU is incredibly powerful. Great. For us, that's not enough. We look at everything. We want adaptive music. We want fully physicalized environments. We want really amazing AI. And everybody talks about these things. They've talked about advanced AI. They've talked about physics. They've talked about these things. But I don't think people have delivered anything of the scope that we're going to blow out. And that's really what Next Generation is all about. I think exceeding expectations and delivering something that people haven't seen. And when we talk about interactivity, pseudo-interactive is kind of a misnomer for the type of experience we're trying to deliver. There's nothing pseudo about it. It's fully interactive. Everything in the environment can be destroyed, can be pushed, moved, driven through, etc. And that's what's going to, I think, blow people away, is just the immensity of that interaction. It's high def, right? Microsoft's whole remix generation and high def and all these things that they're touting, you can finally see in the software. And I think at E3, and we're happy to expose it. We're running 720p. We're running right now 30 frames per second. It's going to be silky smooth. We're going to have 60 frames locked when this game launches, and it's going to be like liquid candy for your eyes because we're already there. We're really, on the verge of showing a type of entertainment and the type of visuals and action. You're talking animation, effects, lighting, the normal mapping, all these technical terms, but at the end of the day, it just looks hot. Well, you'll see Full Auto on Xbox 360 sometime within the launch window. So we're waiting for further approval. We're waiting for a lot of feedback. We're anxious. E3 is really going to define a lot in terms of our strategy, but we're looking good and we're developing at a clip, and I can't wait to bring this thing to the world.
Red Warrior needs help badly.
This product is not yet rated. Midway proudly announces the return of Gauntlet. The Warrior, Valkyrie, Wizard, and Elf return. United on a quest of revenge and redemption. Battle cooperatively with up to 4 players, or for the first time ever, take the action online. The Heroic Alliance is resurrected. Gauntlet 7 Sorrows, coming winter 2005.
Of all that strive me, all will fall.
The humans of Sera built a glorious civilization. But humans were not destined to create. They ultimately did what they do best. Destroy. But this was nothing compared to a new threat from below. An enemy that will force humanity to take their last, inevitable steps toward extinction.
I was gonna have the little weasel shot before you stepped in. I still think we need someone with combat experience.
As I recall, most of your professionals were driven mad. It's time we tried something different. Our training simulators will give him all the skills he needs. When they are complete, he won't even remember his name.
I'm betting we'll be scraping ethereal crap off the inside of this pod by morning.
Don't be so sure. I think things will be very different with this one.
Don't worry, everything is fine. In fact, everything is perfect. You have ascended to something greater than what you were. Explore your new surroundings. You're safe and free. Plants are good for you. They make you healthy. Try one. That's better. Oh, look. A beautiful animal. See how slowly the world moves now. No need to hurry anymore. See how its aura glows. It changes from white to yellow to red. When it's red, you can possess the animal. Try it. You can now experience life in ways you never imagined. See what you can do now. Very good. Now try leaving the animal and exploring. Good. You're doing very well. The world is peaceful. Reload your weapon. This is Kill Them, your new Kill Them All home.
Huh?
Good grief!
Stop here, soldier. Move along.
I'm Kyle Schubel. I'm a producer of Genji Dawn of the Samurai at Sony Computer Entertainment America, Santa Monica. Genji is an interpretation of the Tale of Genji, which is considered by most to be the first piece of fiction ever written. It's a novel that was written in the courts of Japan in the 11th century. It's a love story. It's it's your typical novelization. It's got a little bit of everything, but it tells the tale of the improper son of the emperor who didn't know where he came from, who has better powers than most, and effectively when the emperor and his family are wiped out through a coup, he later finds out who they were, and it's a tale of revenge. Genji Dawn of the Samurai is a loose interpretation of Tale of Genji. You can play as two different characters. Yoshitsune, who's the illegitimate son of the emperor, and he's fast and nimble, and he's got all the agility. Benkei, who is the warrior monk, he's your bruiser. There are secret areas that only one of the two characters can get to. You take different pathways, but the end result, you're still going from A to Z. What lines you go through to get there may change, so the experience is different, but the story itself stays true. The beauty of this is the Heian period of Japan, which is the tail end of the Heian era was when the coup occurred and the capital city moved to Kyoto, which is now Tokyo, and that's basically. That era was an era of nobility, and it effectively was an era of the arts. It was more about, design than function. At the very end of the Heian era is when you switched over to the era of the samurai, the way of the warrior, and that was when things went more to function rather than style. So you've got this environment that is out of the movies. It's out of every brilliant picture you've ever seen from ancient Japan. And then they took it and they made it even more fantastical. Just 10% more, 20. Never. Oh my God, this could never occur. But it's just this. It's bigger. It's more, and they're really trying to focus on getting the environments so that you actually have a seasonal feel. You can tell what era you're in. You can you move through the summer to the fall to the winter to the spring, and the environments are changing with you as you're going through the story. And they're amazing. The story sequences and you're interacting with people and you got little side quests. You walk into a town and somebody needs help and you'll help them out, and because you help them out, they'll point you to a shop that'll allow you to buy a weapon. And so you've got the little RPG light style story things going on. You've got a large overall story which is happening, but the point is sword fighting. I mean, that's just when it comes down to it, you're wading through opponents. There are several sequences where you've got anywhere from 12, 15 guys rushing you at a time, big swarms of baddies just coming in, and you have to use your mind's eye and your counter strikes, and it's a sword fighting game where you almost have to defend. In many of the games you can go all out offense and you're going to probably beat the guy before he beats you down. That's not always the case in this. But I would definitely say it is more action than story. The concept of tate, since many people are not familiar with it, effectively it is sword fighting in the movies, and that's the best way to describe it. It's a relationship between the person giving the cut and the person receiving the cut, and that interaction has never really been explored in video games before, because effectively it's a lot of extra work to choreograph a fight sequence with an AI and give control to a player. Well, Game Republic has outdone themselves to really give that experience over. They enlisted the aid of XII, who is one of the leading tate choreographers in Japan. He's done hundreds of movies. He just is one of those guys you bring in to choreograph and make your movies look amazing. Well, they were able to get him to come in and give him the necessary tools to give you that experience in the game. And as such, all of the AI is trying to give you that experience. You feel like you're watching a movie more so than playing a video game. You still have all the control, but it's just beautiful. The combination of different maneuvers you can do, just phenomenal. They're getting warm. It's come together. It's a full title now. It's just a matter of ironing out the kinks and getting it ready for a fall release.
兵士の者が何の用だ。
恐れを知らぬやつよ。悪いことは言わぬ。おとなしくその石を渡せ。
兵士の願いなら何でも叶うと思うのか。
渡さぬつもりか。
おい、お前は一体。
いたぞ、こっちだ。
仕方がない。
待て、ゾウ。手間を取らせてくれた。この甘花おとなしく渡してもらう。高い。
Hey kid, I got a job for you, but it could get a little messy. Interested?
I can handle a little mess. Who's the target?
Bobby Marcolini, Caneo Capo. Mixed his personal affairs with business. Now one of my guys has a dead niece. Make sure he gets the message. Capiche?
Hey, mister. Monk Malone, you know him? I'm supposed to meet him here.
Hey, relax. He went outside for a few. He'll be back. Take a seat.
Keep the car running. Hey, it's a work day. Keep your mind on the job.
Hey, Francis.
Marty!
Over here. Hey, sis. How you doing? How's the old man?
Good. Most days. He's tired.
Aspetta, Freda. I'm gonna buy some food. Okay, Pop. I'll see you, sis. What's up?
Monk. Thank God. Luca's dead.
Luca?
Thank you very much. You're very kind. Merry Christmas.
I'm calling the ambulance, Monk.
No.
We'll be all right.
Frankie, my sister, she's out there. Make sure she's okay. Steal or I kill you. Ragazzi, io li ucciderete. Vaffanculo! Hold still, or I kill you. Wait! Who sent you? All right. Salazzo. He ordered the hit. Salazzo, the Turk. That's all I know.
You okay?
Yeah, I think so. I've met worse than him.
You're Frankie, right? Monk's sister.
Yeah, why?
He's hurt bad.
Oh, God. What happened?
It was a hit. I think the Don is dead.
Hey, you gotta help me get my pup to the hospital. Get in. We'll follow the ambulance.
You better go help your brother.
Be careful.
British pop and hip hop. I was right in between, and I didn't listen to rock music. But Disney has really played the rock
So those are like folds with the lines after the...
Exactly, it's a sustained note.
Got it. Yes. The party rock. Is that when the destroying the drum kit stuff kind of comes into play?
That's the most special move stuff.
Okay. Oh, golden.
The landing bar is not implemented yet right now, but they're working on it. Next week is when next week.
So what will the landing bar, will there be like another
Hi, my name is Bill Roper, and I'm CEO at Flagship Studios. A little background on the game, it's Hellgate London. It's set 25 years near future, but 5 years after a successful demon invasion. So the idea is that basically we're in London, it's been devastated. The hordes of demons have come through a Hellgate, which provides a link between their world and ours, are remaking the face of the Earth, or certainly at least London from what we know, into being more like their own through this process that the locals have termed the burn. It's reflected in the landscape, in the sky, and makes the city itself, or the top side of London, a very inhospitable place to be. So humanity has had to go below ground and really lives in the safety of the London Underground. Well, one of the things we wanted to do when creating Hellgate London was to try to bring a new perspective, both in terms of gameplay and actually visually, to a fully randomized RPG. We really love the first-person perspective. It's amazingly immersive. You get a true sense of scope and scale. Also, it provides a very different sort of gameplay, especially with ranged combat. So a lot of what we're doing in the game is focusing on how we use that first-person perspective to put players into the world, make it maybe a little more engaging and frightening experience in some ways, while also at the same time really helping push the limits of what we can do in terms of all the randomization and building an RPG. Your character in Hellgate London really focuses on trying to help reestablish humanity's place. There are a few survivors that have managed to live through the demon attack and the burn as it's been going on, that live underground in the stations and those safe zones beneath London. The Templar are really our overarching element within building that society back up. Really, the Templar are concerned with that restructuring, going out, finding people, helping secure almost smaller and smaller chunks, kind of fighting their way back. In some ways, a guerrilla tactical warfare back. They don't have the numbers to just wage an all-out frontal assault. So a lot of what you have to do is coming at things from a different angle. A lot of the storyline is set up around the fact that the Templar, though they were unable to stop the invasion, do have a plan using an ancient device called the Sigil to hopefully wipe out the demons from this area, or at least create a larger protected zone. And so a lot of your overarching storyline that the character goes through is finding ways that you can help, especially as a Templar, to reactivate and engage the Sigil. We really view the structure of the game, both single and multiplayer, to be fairly similar at its core. We definitely are building a game around loot, I think, is maybe the best way to put it. We really like the idea of there being a lot of different things to find, that being one of the prime motivations for people to play. People love collecting stuff, they like getting stuff. You know, we've always liked to build games that have maybe that slot machine mentality. We always talk about the monsters as pinatas. You go out and fight them, and then boom, some cool stuff comes off. And that's definitely the way we're pushing the design for Hellgate London. So both the single player and the multiplayer game have this storyline arc because we wanted to have something that, as a major overarching goal, that players could complete. I think that's one of the challenges of a lot of MMORPGs you see, is that though there might be small stories you go with, they never want you to end. You know, you have to keep going, keep going, keep going. For us, the reason to keep going and keep playing and doing things is going out the items, having different areas to go to that have different types of challenges. But we like there to be a storyline that's there that you can finish. So you have kind of this one big overarching goal you have as a player that, oh, okay, good. Whew, now I'm done. Wow, that felt great. You know, I went through, I finished the storyline and had a great time doing it. But now there's other things I can go do that are also compelling for my character. We're still working a lot, I think, through the way that multiplayer exactly gets laid out. The idea, though, is to make it less recursive than, as an example, Diablo was. Definitely we expect people to go back through the same areas they've been. It's actually a great self-balancing tool. If you're a very advanced player, you can kind of push ahead and go into the new areas that are more difficult for you. But if you're maybe a more casual player, or you just want to try to get some better gear before you move on, you can go back and play through the same area that you're in, because it's different every time. So it's not like you're just running through the same thing and knowing exactly what to expect or exactly what you're going to get, but you can go through that same almost like difficulty zone to try to build up your character before you move on. Also, we have a very different, I think, even just internal thought process towards supporting the game after it's launched. We've kind of built into our plans for providing a lot more support for this game than we ever did for Diablo. We want to be able to maintain some people on the project after it launches, not only, of course, to support it for any bug fixes or things that come up, but also to find new ways to present the content or create new content, just because we think that's become very expected of online games, regardless of what type they are. So we want to be able to provide that going forward, and that'll be a great way for us to also see what it is that players are looking for, and then try to offer them that in kind of this way to move forward together with the community to make it a better game experience even after the product launches. All I can almost say really about release date times is it won't be this year. We're looking to get it done on a good timeline. We have a schedule, but as we've been very fortunate with our publishing partners, with Namco in the US and with Hambit in most of Asia, to really have them understand that it's an organic process, that we're doing something creative, and it's difficult to have exact dates. But we work in very close partnership to make sure that everyone understands where we are timeline-wise. So we're trying to have it done sooner rather than later, which is kind of nebulous and people don't much like to hear, but when the game's ready, it kind of lets us know.
What is Imperator? Well, it's a science fiction-based Roman future MMORPG. So we're taking bits of Roman history, assuming that the Roman Republic never fell, and expanding the timeline to maybe 500 years in the future, where there were no Dark Ages and Roman technology expanded very quickly. Now there's space travel, and the player can actually become a member of that society. The story is very important, obviously, in Imperator, hopefully much more so than in other MMORPGs. But by doing that, we need to introduce special quests or missions called life events. And really what that is the player's chance to make some decisions that affect their character, to learn about the story, and there is a story that runs behind the entire game. It affects the character on a personal level because they make choices about who they meet, who they talk to, how they react to them. That happens in life events. Think of it as kind of a box RPG series of quests where you're going out, you're finding NPCs, they tell you something that you have to do, you go up in a couple levels, you find what they were talking about, then you go do it. And by doing that, you're making choices that affect how the world reacts to you. Roman society has a couple of different organizations which are not running things, but they're major parts of society, and these are agencies like the Roman Intelligence Agency, which helps the Roman society figure out what the Mayans are up to. There's the legions, which is the army itself, the armed forces of Rome. There's the Stellar Aegis, which is a organization which helps colonies that have been attacked by the Mayans kind of rebuild. They're more of a FEMA type. The player doesn't necessarily join these, but they have the chance to run missions for each organization. And this is the concept where the players are special. You don't go to the organization necessarily and say, what do you have for me? The organizations are actually lobbying for you. They send you messages saying, please come help us because you're an elite member of Roman society. So you can go on missions for these organizations and build faction, and as you do, you might drop off with another organization which is a rival of that one. But if you get high enough, you'll start to get some special abilities, some items that players that haven't built up faction with that organization, they don't get that. So this isn't really class defining. It's not going to change your role in the world, but it will definitely give you more of a bent of what that organization does. So for example, if you're a ranged fighting specialist and you're running a lot of missions for the RIA, for the Roman Intelligence Agency, you will eventually start to get items which help you do missions for that, which would mean communication system jamming, perhaps computer skills, better sniper ability, things like that, which they would want to give people that run missions for them because they want them to do them better. The character system in Imperator, the player makes one choice or two choices when he starts out. He chooses a race, which is really an appearance for how he looks. And we have standard races built in. You can be human. And of course, the Roman Republic is all-inclusive. It includes members of other societies. It's not just Italian-looking people. Dragon Empire, which is another civilization, not quite as strong as Rome in this timeline, but definitely liked and appreciated by the Romans. You can be a member of the Dragon Empire, which means that you look more Asian, you can be African. So we're trying to make this a very inclusive game racially in that sense, because the Roman Republic was absolutely like that. We're also letting the players, as they grow and mature, they make one choice when they start out in terms of their profession, and that's what archetype do I want to be? Archetype means what basically am I going to be doing in my career? Am I going to be a ranged fighter, a melee fighter? Am I going to be a support technician class which supports those fighters? And there's also a fourth archetype which we're not talking about right now because we're still designing it. So the player's making a very simple choice, kind of what am I going to be doing in general. Then as they go up in level, they get to choose what specifically am I going to be doing with those skills. And that means, do I want to be a melee fighter that specializes in movement, like darting in quickly and doing something and getting out of range? Do I want to be a big heavy guy that stomps into combat and beats the heck out of people? Those are the kind of choices he makes later on. Imperator is scheduled for release in the summer of 2006.
Activating target broadcast for a high-level threat. High-level threat. Angry man on the move. Gamma sensors are lit up. I'm moving to engage. Help me! Going down! Go at it. You're done for, Banner.
Prophecy is an interactive drama. It's an adventure game where the core of the experience is really emotions. The story starts, you are playing Lucas Kane, normal guy. One day he goes into a diner. He will go into the restrooms of this diner and for no apparent reason will kill the first person he's going to meet. As the character, you will try to find out what happened. Why did you commit this murder? Why did you kill this person whom actually you don't know? Your aim will be to fully understand, actually it's a quest for identity. You will really need to understand who you are. And what is very interesting about this experience is that it's a multi-path experience. Actually, you don't play one story, you play a number of different stories. The more you progress into this adventure, the more you will learn about yourself and about all the other characters that are in the game. Then you also have the interface. There's actually nearly no interface. There's no inventory. So it's we really wanted to have a very immersive experience for the player. It's a game that's primarily been developed for console. So we wanted really something very easy, an interface that enabled the player to be in the movie and play the hero without having to master controls. You have the adventure part where you will control the character. Then you have the action sequence, which is more Parapapa the Rapper style of controlling. You basically have a set of animations that appear on screens and you have to reproduce them with the analog sticks. And then we also have, whenever the character has to do some physical effort, we have a kind of track and field way of controlling the character's motions. We really wanted to put the player in the same state as the hero. The controls are really putting the player in the same state as the character is embodying at the moment. There are a multitude of stories in this game because whatever you do in a particular sequence is going to have an effect on whatever comes next in the story. For instance, after the intro scene where you commit the murderer, there's a multitude of things you can do. You can decide to hide the body or not. You can decide just to run out of the restroom and you're full of blood, so everyone is going to see you and immediately you become #1 suspect of this investigation. Or you can decide to be more clever. You can decide to hide the clues, hide the murder weapon, wash yourself and go out into the diner and no one will notice actually that you've murdered someone. And this of course is going to have an effect on the rest of the story. We hope that people will look at this game and say, wow, finally something different. And that's really something we've worked very hard and very long for. And we think that with Indigo Prophecy, we demonstrate that games are not only about shooting monsters in a corridor. It can be much more. The game is coming out in September 2005 on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 2.
Tyler?
What? This is a restroom, isn't it?
No, this is a crime scene.
Things are never quite what they seem. We think we understand the world around us, but we really only see the outside, what it seems to be. I used to be just like you. I believed in humanity, the newspapers, soap commercials, politics, and history books. But one day, the world kicks you in the teeth, and you don't have any choice but to see things the way they really are. My name is Lucas Kane. My story is the one where an ordinary guy has something extraordinary happen to him. Maybe it was supposed to happen. Maybe it was my destiny or my karma or whatever. I know one thing for sure. Nothing's ever going to be the same again. It all started right here. Where else could it happen? New York, capital of the universe. The chessboard destiny chose for the last big game. I was just another pawn living my pawn's life. Until that night, when my life descended into chaos. What have I done? I didn't want... It was like a dream. Quick. I've got to get out of here, but before somebody comes in here.
For every vision of light, there will be one of darkness. For every moment of peace, there will be one of chaos. She alone holds the power to save this world. A legion of warriors, hidden inside the body of one. Only you can unleash them.
No matter how many times you try, the result will be the same.
Mr. Mills wants you to kill this man.
Somebody's calling out to me. I'm counting on you.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I won't need 6 bullets for you.
The Master is awake.
You've changed considerably into a badass. I sense trouble in the south.
Something very bad is gonna happen here. See, I told you, this is real.
Who in the hell was that?
I went to see the devil. Now it's your turn.
We've taken all the fine elements of San Francisco Rush the Rock, Rush 2049, Rush 2 even. We've taken all the key elements of Rush and integrated them into the next generation in LA Rush. Whether it's the forgiving physics, the huge jumps, the collectability, it's all in there. We've taken some artistic liberties with LA, but there's no denying the city that you're in as you're driving around. We've got the Santa Monica Pier, we've got the Hollywood sign, we've got the Newport Pier, key areas of downtown, we've got key areas of South Central. Definitely, it's got the personality of LA written all over it. There's a variety of different racing. There's the circuit racing, which is a lap-based racing, and there's also point A to point B, which I find a little bit more interesting, which is what more heavily populates our racing menu in the game. In addition to our standard racing fare, we also have a couple of different modes. One of them is a stunt mode where you have a piece of track, huge jumps, and the object is to rack up as many points as possible. In addition to that, we also have a cruise mode where your car is governed at 60, 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, and you aren't allowed to go below that speed limit, and you have to negotiate traffic along the way, bridges, jumps, and turns, and reach the end finish line. In total, we have over 50 licensed and concept vehicles. We have West Coast Customs specially designed vehicles. We had Detroit artist designed vehicles. In addition to that, we've got the Skylines, we've got the Vipers, we've got the Pontiac Solstice. So there's definitely a wide selection. We've got muscle cars, SUVs, anything that your average player out there would want to race, we've got it in spades. Well, West Coast Customs, not only have they given their likeness and their wonderful voice acting to our story, they're also there on the map in LA. Any car that you get, you can take to West Coast Customs and they will pimp it out using the wide variety of licensed aftermarket parts that they have at their disposal. Momo, Inky, Dayton, you name it. You bring your car there, they'll give you a little quick interstitial and you'll be rolling out in style with the latest pimped out ride. We've got so many different distractions, whether it's just wandering around the wonderful city of LA that we have, whether it's collecting points in stunt, whether it's picking up coins just in the environment that are hidden a la previous Rush iterations. So there's tons to do, and the replay value is just inherent in the city that we have.
Midway presents the only street racing game featuring the crew at the world-famous West Coast Customs with intense speeds and killer jumps. Hold on tight for the return of Rush.
Woo, I bet you ain't know this rig here could fly, huh?
For you, there's no rush bigger than speed. All these rides are yours, fully pimped out and juiced up. But now that you've got it all, there's one man who knows that to take you down, he's gonna take what's yours. Your rides.
Woo, see you in the rear view, son. I'm not doing fine.
This fall, take back the streets of LA. Fall 2005.
Oh my, there's that cute little...
What? Now...
What is your quest? To annihilate me?
You know it. Bring it, monkey brain.
Let's begin the journey.
What kind hideous beastie are you?
I must be a cat. I get to ride a wolf?
Cool! Fasten your seatbelt. We're heading down.
Look! We're doomed!
Hey!
And it doesn't let them get the right personnel in there sometimes.
Throws it. He hits his receiver. In the nickel. Under pressure. Dropping back. Launches it deep to the left. Catches pass play here on first down. Throws it. And it's complete.
みんな、一暴れしてやろうぜ。
思った通りね。
ちょうどうずうずしてたとこだぜ。
攻撃したつもりか。これで終わりだ。簡単だったな。
この先に村がある。お前の面倒を見てくれる者もいるだろう。
でも僕のせいでみんなが風月輪が
大切なものを守るためにその手を血で染めることになるかもしれぬ。それでも力が欲しいか。ならばついてきなさい。
俺は強くなりたかった。何かを守る力ではなく、復讐のための破壊する力を求めていた。
This game has not yet been rated.
I am Iron Man.
Here's Johnny.